Legends and Leapers.
Leader, you are a leader, you are a leader, rising right out the ranks. You're a leader, lessons will teach you just how to reach your endless ambitions on. Yeah, look at yourself in the mirror, turn that frown upside down. Show what you're working with. You can't depend on someone else to see your future. That part is up to.
All right. I think I can see a bunch of people slowly trickling in, but we're going to go ahead and get started in respect for everyone's time. My name is Ramon Lowe. I'm the Director of Membership and Industry Engagement for the Airport Minority Advisory Council. And welcome to our monthly series, the Legends and Leapers series, which is hosted by the Lauryn Mangum, the notorious LMR, and the Ricky Smith. So before I hand it off to our hosts and our wonderful guests, just one point of housekeeping news, and I think you guys can all know what it's going to be. Conference. We are about 38 days away. I saw that in the calendar the other day. 38 days away from our the Airport Minority Business Diversity Conference in Nashville, August 3rd to the 7th. If you haven't already, if you have not joined the likes of Myrna White and Meghan Woods, you need to register now. Please make sure you register, only because you cannot reserve a room in any of our overflow hotels and also benefit from our conference rate if you do not register first. Once you register, then you will be sent an automatic email to go ahead and reserve your rooms. And we do have rooms still available. So please make sure you go to amac-org.com/annual conference. Register. You do not want to miss this event. I know Ricky and Lauryn will mention it again before we leave here. So with that, I'm going to hand it off to Lauryn and Ricky. Guys?
All right, not necessarily in that order. And I noticed you confirmed that Myrna and Meghan have both registered for the conference. We've got to get Lauryn off the dime, and we've got to get Lauryn to register for the conference. You are a board member, Lauryn, so please, and secretary, so please lead by example. Welcome to Legends and Leapers. It is so good to see you all here today, and Lauryn, and we're looking forward to a very, very good discussion. We have two amazing panelists. We have Myrna White, Myrna White, and we have D2B, Meghan Woods, with us, and Lauryn is going to take us through the introductions. But before we do that, just so you know, as a reminder, this is not a rehearsed session. They don't know what questions are going to be asked. That makes it fun for all of us, but I think they're up to the challenge. Meghan has a big smile on her face, and you can tell Myrna's a legend because she has that kind of a hidden smile on her face because she doesn't know what's coming, but she's ready for us. Anyway, with that being said, I'll turn it over to Lauryn, and she can conduct the introductions. Then we'll get into the Q&A.
Thank you so much. You forgot to say Lauryn, who is not only registered for the conference, but also a silver sponsor for the AMAC annual conference. And thank you, Ricky, for that introduction, even though you still can't.
That softball right across the middle of the plate.
It was. I'm glad it's softball and not swimming. At least we know you can be decent at one of those. So I'm so excited. I was just beaming with excitement, not just because I had my mushroom coffee this morning, but because we are on Legends and Leapers with the Myrna White and Meghan Woods. And no, it is not a coincidence that both of their initials are MW, or that everyone's rocking the red lip with the exception of Ricky. It's because these ladies came to play, and I am excited, guys. So I want to start off with Myrna, who does not need any introduction, but Myrna White is nationally recognized for honing a remarkable career at the world's busiest airport, trailblazing her way through the ranks to become the organization's first Assistant General for Public and International Affairs. After 32 years of distinguished service, Myrna retired from Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport in 2023. With an exceptional ability to identify gaps and offer impactful solutions, Myrna created Hartsfield-Jackson's Government Affairs and Community Engagement programs, among other key business units that stand today. Among other notable career achievements, she established an impactful aviation education program and oversaw the development of the organization's first brand guidelines and design of the airport's current logo, which is recognized around the globe. Myrna's exceptional leadership garnered commendations resolutions for both the Georgia Senate and the State House of Representatives. She currently serves on the board of directors for the Georgia Foreign Trade Zone, the Boys and Girls Club of Lawrence and Johnson counties, and the ATL Chamber, where she is a past chair. She is a former chair of the Airports Council International Marketing and Communications Committee. Her many accolades include the Pinnacle Leadership Award from the AMAC Foundation and the Legacy Award for Excellence in Creativity from ACI North America. She was delighted by the ATL Airport Administration's installation of plaque bearing her name adjacent to the 5th runway in honor of her role in winning the community's approval to build the runway. Myrna now leverages her expertise at Everest Global Engagement, her public affairs practice, and Everest Specialties and ACDBE certified consultancy. She plans to expand nationally. Inspired by the Earth's highest peak, her brand reflects her commitment to the highest standard of excellence and her reputation for integrity. Whew. She also happens to be, I'm adding this now, a member of the most illustrious sorority on the planet, Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. Ooh, my soror, you are amazing. All right. Hey, now we have our leaper, Miss Meghan Woods, AAE, by the way. As Paradies Lagardare's Vice President of Business Development, Ms. Woods is responsible for increasing the number of partners' RFPs within the assigned territory, ultimately resulting in increasing Paradies businesses and developing and executing Paradies' growth strategy. Ms. Woods has over 10 years of progressive experience and a successful track record in overseeing and enhancing a diversified property management portfolio. Ms. Woods previously served as the Savannah Airport Commission's Manager of Properties and Executive Affairs, serving as the main point of contact on risk management, contracts and leases, and executive affairs on behalf of the Airport Executive Director. She's an accredited airport executive of the American Association of Airport Executives, holds a Master of Business Administration and a Master of Public Administration from Savannah State University, and a Bachelor of Arts in Criminal Justice Administration from Clark Atlanta University. An Atlanta native, Ms. Woods currently resides in Los Angeles, California with her husband, Gregory, and daughter, Gabrielle.
Wow.
Ricky, I don't know if you're ready. I don't know if you're ready for today.
I mean, we can call it a wrap, just that alone. That's a lot. So, so I guess we'll get into the Q&A. Thanks for that, Lauryn. So Lauren's right. I don't have the red lipstick on, and you probably won't see that for a while, but it doesn't mean the questions that I ask you won't be hot. Okay? But we're gonna start with the soft one, okay? So this camera is full of women and me. But the women will be doing most of the talking, minus Lauryn. So why is it important in, given the state of the industry and some of the topics we'll be talking about today, why is it still important to hear a male's perspective?
Well, if I may, first, I'd like to thank you for having me. It's so exciting to be on this panel with you, Ricky, and Lauryn, and with Meghan. I'm so excited about her career. I've known her for quite a while, and she reminds me of myself. She's just bolder and even more creative than I was at her age. So this is a day I've looked forward to for quite some time. I think it's great to hear from the male's perspective as well. We have to have not only ethnic and racial diversity, we have to have gender diversity. We all bring different experiences to the table. And so we need to be able to hear from your perspective, because you may think of some things that we as women have not thought of, even though that's highly unlikely, because most of the time I think experts show that women tend to think from a broader perspective. But I do think that men sometimes think more operationally than women in some cases. So we need to have both perspectives, in my opinion.
Well, Meghan, before you jump in and answer that question, maybe we should have you guys sign a disclaimer. I mean, Myrna, so are you also drinking the mushroom coffee? I just want to make sure so people know where your responses are coming from.
No, I'm not, Ricky, but you know, I thought about something. You and I were friends before this panel, and I'm hoping that we will remain friends after it's over as well. Thank you.
You know, Myrna, you will always be a friend of mine, always. All right, Megan, are you going to clean up her answer or
No,
what?
no.
Oh,
Again, I share Myrna's sentiments as well, Ricky. And again, thank you all so much for having me today. But I couldn't agree more. I mean, it really does tie into a diversified group of leaders and thinkers in the workforce. I mean, you have to have an inclusive table, and it's not just in terms of ethnicity or race or gender. It's also, you have to think about, there's 5 different generations that are working amongst each other right now, and there are things that we borrow from each other. You think about your own family. I mean, we love spending time with our elders, with our grandparents, because I always think of it as a boomerang. A lot of what has happened before, it comes back around. We just find a way to modernize it and improve upon it. So I can't disagree with Myrna. I mean, we have to make sure that everyone has a seat at the table, but in collaborating, we have to be willing to listen and learn from one another as well.
so both very good answers. I'm going to pick on this one a little bit more because the consensus is men should be heard, right? That just like everyone else, men should be heard. And so 3 words that men fear most coming from women is can
We
we talk?
need to talk.
Can we talk?
Can we talk? There we go.
Can we talk? So if men need to be need to be heard so much, why from your perspective, why do men fear those 3 words so much? Can we talk?
Now we're talking about in a professional environment, right?
We can be, yes.
I just want to clarify because I think it's my response
Wait,
will
wait
be
for a second.
different.
Lauren, she just looked up in the air. So, okay, we got it. There you go.
Ricky, I didn't want to give you credit, but they both did. They're like, oh Lord.
I think. Go
Oh,
ahead,
go ahead,
Myrna.
Megan. No,
Okay.
Megan.
I personally, I just think that men are very much wired to be leaders, to be protectors, to be providers. And because most men are wired that way, when you hear those words, can we talk? You're automatically thinking, okay, did I miss the ball? Did I miss the mark? Like, what's going on? Like, what do we need to talk about? I'm already, you're already thinking ahead. You're always a step ahead. And I think it's a dreaded phrase to hear sometimes because it's like, did I miss something? Did I not communicate something? And sometimes that's just not it. Sometimes it's just clarification to make sure that we're all on the same page is what I would take from it, both in the workplace as well as if you want to take it personally.
Well, Megan, well, I just want to correct one thing you said. Okay, when we hear that, it's not did we mess up? It is we know we've messed up. Which one of those mess ups are we about to get called on? That's more.
So
fair enough.
How did you mess up?
Yeah, there you go.
And I think it's men fear any emotional kind of response from women. And I think when you hear can we talk, the first thing you're imagining is that there's some kind of emotional response that the woman is going to evoke. So that I think that's where that fear comes from. Men can respond quickly when emotions aren't involved. If you're just talking about facts or dealing with something technical, it's simple. But when emotions are involved, men sometimes crumble. So that I think is where the source of the fear comes in.
Well, I'm not going to leave this topic without giving Lauryn a chance to pick at it a little bit.
Well, I was actually going to say that you all should send Ricky your invoices because I feel like it's kind of become a therapy session of sorts to help him grow. Because his team is probably like, y'all let him know. This is exactly what we've been trying to say. No, but in all seriousness, I think that both of you guys made some really good points. I actually want to take a step back a little bit, Ricky, and get into the intergenerational aspect that Megan talked about, because we are in a we're in a time, unprecedented time, where we do have 5 generations in the workplace right now. So whether it is same gender, different gender, having those 5 generations in the workplace. And Myrna, I know that you have brought your expertise out of the public sector and into the private one, but still in public affairs. So you're still working with everyone, right? Even on a larger scale. And Meghan, with your role as well, how has been navigating that? And I feel like this has kind of been a buzz topic. How has been navigating that? What have the challenges been? And what have you guys learned over just the past few years amongst working with all 5 generations?
Well, I have to confess that initially I dreaded working with millennials. I felt as though they did not want to put the work in, and it was frustrating for me. Even though I know it's hard to believe that I am a boomer, I'm one of the last toward the far end of the boomers, and we were taught to really work hard and always work to excel. But for that generation, it was more about having a work-life balance. And I believe in that too,
Go
but
figure.
let's get the work in first. So I had to make an adjustment myself and focus on the positive aspects of that generation's mindset. Uh, Recognizing the innovation, especially in the technology, even with my own son, being able to learn from him about certain, I mean, something as simple as my iPhone. So in the workplace, being able to use that innovation to improve the operations, the efficiencies in my shop. That was something that helped once I can focus on what they brought to the table in the positive light. That helped me kind of overlook some of those what I felt were shortcomings. So I had to make that mental adjustment, and that's important for leaders to do. Sometimes recognize it's not just the folks that we're leading that we have to help adjust. We have to do that ourselves from time to time.
I would say for me, I'm very fortunate to be an 80s millennial, 89. So I am very fortunate to remember when, like, actually having a library card and growing up with technology. So I'm not too far off. Like there's touch points that I have that bridge different generations. I also am very fortunate that both of my parents are retired Army. So I did grow up, and I'm the oldest of 3 children. I grew up in a very structured military environment, as you can imagine. And I would really, really just say that for me, first entering the workforce, I had to set boundaries, especially when I started at the Savannah airport. I was 22 years old, and I had to set boundaries because one, it was I wanted to be seen as a young emerging professional, but I also didn't want to be seen as someone's child. I don't mind someone mentoring me, but there are ways to communicate that. And then for those who are my age or those who else are coming or younger than me, it was really, I took it upon myself to really show them the ropes of, you can do this, you can be seen as a professional, you can really step up, raise your hand, ask for the opportunity. And what ended up happening was doors started to open for me, especially in terms of, okay, you have a level of maturity, you're still young, but you want to put in the work, you want to learn. And I truly believe that what has helped us is, sadly, is COVID, because the world just shut down. And if you really think about it, we all had to adapt to what would become a new norm. I remember when I was still in Savannah, I went into the office every single day during the pandemic. I went in, I had an office, and I walked the airport terminal. I was visiting with tenants, I was helping, I was assisting, whatever it was, I was boots on the ground because that was my role. And after leaving the airport, that's when I first started shifting into a hybrid role. So for me, it was an adjustment because I was used to having an office, having a printer, having staff, having everything I needed at my fingertips. And when you go into a hybrid environment and you're like, okay, I'm on a plane, I work from home, I do this, it's a lot that had to shift. But I think that what ended up happening, even for the boomers or the Gen Xers who were like, nope, we're going to be in at 6 and we're out by 6:37 and I'm going to get up and do it again the next day, they too started to find that, this isn't so bad. I've got my Friday afternoon, I've got my Monday to cut. You start to find the flexibilities and you start to realize that culturally, the workforce and the environment, they're happier because I will definitely say like succession planning is very, very tough, especially in our industry. I mean, just making sure that we're building that pipeline and getting people interested, not just in airport management, but aviation, and then just ACDBE program, all of that, it's a lot of jargon for most people and they're not exposed to it until it's almost too late. And so you really have to think about how can I make sure that the workforce that I have, I'm protecting them, I'm developing them, I'm keeping them interested in staying while also building a succession plan and a pipeline to bring new people in and create interest. So I will say it's twofold. One, we have to be respectful of one another in the workplace and understand that different generations communicate differently. But I always bring it back to think about when you're talking to your grandmother, think about when you're talking to your children. You know, some of those same things do not work in the workplace. But also at the same time, in the post-COVID era, we're seeing that there's innovation, there's technology. There are so many different ways, I would say, to skin a cat, but we can all be productive and bring value to our organizations.
Before Lauryn goes on, I do want to challenge one point. I mean, this notion that millennials, for example, have cornered the market on technology. I mean, that's not always true. So I have an e-card, electronic card on my phone, right? And so, and I meet a lot of people, and so I had this one experience where it was a millennial, younger fella, and we spent maybe 2 minutes trying to decide whose e-card we were going to use. He had one on his phone, I had one on my phone. So once we got through that, we decided on mine, right? So another gentleman walked up. This gentleman was like 65 years old, and he looked at my e-card on my phone, and he just snapped a picture of the face of my phone, right? And so if that's not more efficient use of technology, I don't know what is. God, that's really taking a shot at the older folk because I've had several older folk take pictures of my e-card. How many of you have done that?
So now he just has your e-card and a picture in his albums on his phone?
Yes, Lauryn, yes.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure I was understanding that correctly. So it's kind of like taking a picture of your business card.
Yeah,
it just
exactly.
goes into an abyss of, okay. So I digress.
It happens.
I want to kind of stay here for a second because one of the things, and Meghan, you can probably attest to this as well. I feel like everyone younger than Gen X is lumped into millennials, not realizing there's a whole Gen Z that has entered the workforce. And one, as a millennial, right, we were on the brunt of the receiving end coming into the workforce. So I never want to continue that cycle, but I do kind of want to talk about it a little bit because Myrna, you talked about just kind of that a little apprehension of what the workforce is going to look like or what working with millennials is going to look like. But how has that changed? Because to Megan's point, like we still had the Dewey Decimal System. So we remember having to literally dial grandma on the phone that was connected to the wall, right? We didn't always have cell phones. How has the technology changed, or even the way that you kind of looked at the workforce changed with the introduction of Gen Z into the workforce?
Take your time.
Yeah. Yeah, I need to give that one some consideration. I think Meghan looks like she's ready to respond already.
Sure, I'll jump right in. It's so funny because the other day I had a conversation with someone at Paradies who is Gen Z. And the conversation I had with her was more so, what is your development path? What do you see yourself doing? And I was like, let's just take it in small bites. A year from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, what do you see yourself doing? And she told me, she was like, you know, I can see a year, but I can't see 5. And I said, well, that's perfectly fine. I was like, but what is it? What do you feel you need to help you along your journey as you figure this out? And she's like, well, I need to be involved more. I need to understand the purpose behind the work that I'm doing. I don't mind doing the work, but it's the why. If someone can explain to me the why, and then I feel like I have it's more meaningful. I have ownership. I can do this. And I was like, well, how are you with project management? Oh, I can talk to different people. I don't mind. Well, how do you communicate? I could do Teams. I can call them on the phone. I can text them. So I think that really with Gen Z, they're willing and they're moldable. The thing is, they have to understand the why. That's the biggest question. They are going to ask you who, what, when, where, why all the time, right? They need to understand why and what it is that they're doing. But they have so many tools to do their job and communicate. I'm not even going to get into the AI and the GBT. I don't even want to touch the surface of that yet. But I mean, they're a very creative group, I must say. And I think that some of us were just very turned off by it because it's like, oh my gosh, this is way too fast. Like this is too much. But it's really just getting them to understand, okay, I can do Instagram, I could do Facebook, I can kind of do Twitter, but TikTok, you lost me. And it's just really finding out, and each organization is different, right? Like whatever social media tools you use, however you communicate is different. But I think right now there's a baseline of everybody's comfortable using Teams, we're comfortable using Zoom, we're comfortable doing email, we're comfortable picking up the phone. Even now, I mean, my parents are getting better at texting. My mom is still a little shaky, but they're getting better at texting. So I think that with the technology that we have, it's really just communicating with them to make them or to have them understand what works best. Because again, it's different. You got different audiences. All audiences don't respond the same. It's guidance. And I will say, Gen Z, they do need a little bit more guidance. They really do. And it's not, I'm not saying that they're not capable. It's just the why. That's really the biggest part. It's the why and giving them the tools and having and just that better understanding. The same thing was said about millennials, having a purpose in the work that we do. We want to make sure that our work is purposeful while still having that work-life balance. It's the same thing with Gen Z, but this generation has gone, I mean, the things that they have experienced, they're coming out of the worst pandemic ever, where they're just sheltered away from everyone. That's really a part of it, is what I would say.
You know, I would have loved to have had a millennial like Meghan on my team. Oh my gosh. But you know, Lauryn, throughout my career, I have always focused on a person's strengths, no matter what generation they're in. And Megan described beautifully how she was able to analyze that Gen Z's strengths or that Gen Z's passions. And it's the same thing, no matter whether you're looking at generations or cultures or whatever it is. If you are able to identify your person's strengths and you're able to kind of uh, m- match those strengths with the function in your organization, then they will excel. And I've had to move people from one area, especially if you've got a person who's got a great attitude, who wants to be a part of the team, and you know they have potential. I've been able to move people from one function where they were not thriving to another where they were able to excel. And so I think that is one of the keys of leadership, is to be able to identify where a person is going to bring the most value to your organization, and everyone wins. That person ends up feeling very valuable and feeling very worthy and good about what it is they're contributing. And then it makes a difference for the organization as well.
So speaking of feeling valuable and feeling worthy of what of how people see you or perceive you, both of you are at different points in your career. Um, so for you, Myrna, can you you've gone through a period over the last several months where people have been giving you your flowers, right? Well-deserved flowers because of your retirement. And during that time, people have said a lot of stuff about you, amazing stuff about you, all the stuff that they appreciate about, the value you brought to their lives, the way you approach your career, what you represent in terms of being a leader in Atlanta and being a Black woman, all those good things people have said about you. So I want you to talk a little bit about um, one or two of those things that you think truly represent or define who you are. And then you, Meghan, you are aspiring to get to the point where Myrna is, if not more. When you get to Myrna's point, what are some of those things you want people to be able to say about you? Yeah.
Well, first of all, you finally asked a question that I was prepared for,
Oh, wow. Let's withdraw that question.
or that I was halfway expecting. So thank you. Um, so this I could talk about this all day. Not about me per se, but just because you really don't know who's watching you. Throughout my career, I have just worked to be the best that I could be at whatever I was doing at the time. And I was always raised, my father especially taught us that everyone, you treat people the same, whether it's the president of a company or the janitor who's coming in to clean the office at night. And that has been my philosophy. And when I tell you the comments that I have heard from people as I prepare to leave and after I've left about the impact, I didn't realize it because I was just being me. I promise. And I'm not being superficially humble. I was just being me. But two people that I admire greatly, Mookie Patel, who is now running an airport
Right.
himself,
Yeah.
talked about on this show about how when he was just getting started, a little rookie, I took time to just kind of give him some guidance and show him the way. Now, I remember him when he got started, but I don't even remember a particular conversation he mentioned because I was that's just who I am. But it made me feel so good that he remembered that. So, and then another giant, Joy Road Fox, So always say to people, as you are climbing the ladder to success, you've got to be good to people because you never know where you will meet those people later. Some folks that could end up being a client, your boss, you just never know. And so I'm always turned off by folks who get so powerful that they don't have time to stop and speak to the quote little people. So for me to see the impact I have had, not just with businesses and in my role at the airport, one of my focuses was to make sure that small businesses, minority businesses in particular, had a fair shake at getting business opportunities at Hartsfield-Jackson. But so just to see, and then again, I had a person tell me right before I got ready to leave, she said, Myrna, now be prepared because some of the people who were nice to you while you were at the airport won't want you leave because it was all about your title. But I have not experienced that at all. I have had folks welcome me with open arms. I've had contracts that have been business opportunities that I didn't even have to seek that have come my way. So I just feel so fulfilled that I had a career that I absolutely loved and that people that recognized that the work I did was genuinely a passion of mine. And I feel that I've been rewarded by the airport administration and by the people that I have served. So I know that was a kind of mushy response, and you don't like that mushiness, Ricky, but it was from the heart, and that's who I am.
Remember, you guys did I Am a Man, right? I don't want the mushy, emotional stuff, remember? No, that was excellent.
That was beautiful, Myrna. Ricky, truly for me, it's really to Myrna's point, being your authentic self. But as my journey is, the book is yet to be written. I'm still writing the chapters in the book. And truthfully, I just really, really aspire to be an influential and transformative leader. I think that I really had a great start in my career with just raising my hand for an internship opportunity at the Savannah airport that someone turned down. And it opened the doors and a world of opportunity for me that I didn't even know existed. I've been so blessed and fortunate along this journey to meet so many impactful and great airport executives and who have just really poured into me. And there's so many names, I can't name them all, but I truly, truly appreciate all of the love that has been poured into me on this journey. Now being with Paradies, just I always say I'm on the other side of the table. I wear two hats. I wear my airport hat still. I am hardwired as an airport person. I will never let that go. But now being a concessionaire and just being able to truly make an impact in the community with minorities, just a diverse group, genders, and just being able to bring them into this world and show them that opportunities exist that they may not know of. And I really want to just make sure that I'm reaching out to, I have a young daughter. I want to expose her to aviation, making sure that she understands this world as well. It's an option for her. I don't want her to wait until it's too late to find out. But if there's anything, if I could flash forward 15, 20 years from now, I really would hope that people would say, I remember Meghan when, and still when they meet me, say she's still approachable. She's a little quiet, but she's approachable and she's down to earth. She's humble and she's about her business. Because a lot of times I move very swiftly and silently, but my work speaks for itself. I'm not always the loudest person in the room, but my work speaks for itself when you see the results.
I'm looking for a mic to drop. I don't have one.
So real quick, quick caveat for everyone that is on and tuning in. I appreciate all of the communication and conversation in the chat. But if you have any questions that you want to ask either Meghan, the Leaper MW or the Legend MW, please drop that into the Q&A because I'm just sitting here in awe. Ricky, I don't know about you, but I feel like you guys the movies where they flash back, flash forward, and like you're seeing the same person at the same time, right?
Yeah.
Like that's what I feel like I'm looking at right now. And it's just super uncanny just because of their backgrounds. Forget the whole initials, the Atlanta connection, all that. But you two are just absolutely dynamic and I just appreciate it. So I just want to say that really quickly before Ricky jumps in with his logical question.
No, I was going to say, Lauryn, if you're seeing multiple people at the same time in different places, there's a pill for that, right? Or prescription. So you might want to look into that because I don't know if we're all seeing the same.
Way to kill a moment, Ricky. But
I
thank
see
you.
Meghan and I see Myrna and anyway. Sorry, just want to help you out. So the next question is probably you can draw from some of the stuff that you've already said, but it's a slightly different twist. Both of you, despite how relatively young you are in your career, Meghan and Myrna, the fact that you and I have been here for a minute, both of you have experienced moments, right? And then this one, to answer your question earlier, Myrna, this is not about your professional life, okay? This is probably more about your personal life because you bring your personal experiences into your work world. Can you share with us, with the least amount of emotion, women, a moment in your life that you would say has impacted you in a way that shifted you from one path to another path? One pathway to another pathway.
I can go first if that's all right. I would say when I became pregnant with my daughter a few years ago, I was very gung-ho, like work, grind. And my whole perspective changed, just shifted. It had to. She's my priority. My husband's my priority. And just family, finding a way, that path. I'm still on the path that I want, but it's the pathway of being a leader and a professional and a working mom and wife while still showing up for my family and them being the priority. I would say that was probably the biggest shift, because if you would have told me I would be where I am today, like 8 years ago, I would be like, yeah, no, that's not me. And truthfully, I think that just my family experience of my daughter and my husband and just that aspect has just elevated me as a leader and as someone within my company and someone who can communicate. I have more empathy now. Definitely before it was hard for me to understand. I had a 4-pound Maltese for like 10 years. That was my baby, you know, but that's not the same as nurturing and loving a child and having to show up for your spouse and be responsible. You made a lifelong commitment to someone. So I would think that personally is the largest shift that happened for me of becoming a wife and having a child.
Meghan, once you've got a dog in your life, it'll never be the same. It's just never be the same. It only gets anyway. I digress.
So as I was thinking, all my shifts have been professional, just and it just tells the story of being prepared so that when an opportunity comes your way. Like my first job was as a newspaper reporter, and I thought I wanted to do that forever. And then I shifted to public relations, and an airport opportunity came, and I never thought I would be in an airport. But once I came, I loved it. And there are just so many themes there. But so then after I started consulting, public affairs consulting is what I started. That was my focus, connecting businesses with elected officials and that kind of thing. But then someone mentioned concessions consulting. So then I also then switched to the ACDBE certification. So it's that being prepared so that when an opportunity comes forward, you are ready. I always love that old saying, those who stay ready don't have to get ready. So that has been my life. But one thing, as I'm listening to Meghan, I'm thinking about some of the challenges I faced when I was her age, because she's pleasant, she smiles. I was the same way. And sometimes people take that pleasantness as a weakness, like, because you're not the ball busting type. You can't, can I say that here, Ricky?
Too
That
late now. Too late. You've already said it.
that that
Who
you
gonna check her, Ricky? Who gonna check her?
Yes, we will.
that maybe you can't get the job done. So I had to prove myself so many times that you don't have to be unpleasant or manly to perform at the highest levels. And I hope folks understand that you can be your authentic self. I was never going to change and turn into something else because people initially meeting me thought that because I was nice, I maybe couldn't handle the job. Once they got to know me, I've been known as the velvet hammer because I can tell a person in a sweet, gentle way that, if you're not able to get the job done, I will have to terminate you. That has happened, so just I'm saying that to say folks need to understand you cannot judge a person simply by what your first impression is. Give them an opportunity. Once Meghan starts to speak and you see how smart she is, she's just brilliant. So a smile is something that we all can, I think the world needs more of, but don't take that as a sign of someone being weak at all. She's
Well,
fit.
Thank you, Myrna. Thank you.
Aren't you the pot calling the kettle black? But wait a minute, Myrna. Did you just equate being a man with being, what was the word you used now? Did you say unpleasant or something? Did you just do that?
I don't think I did.
I didn't hear it that way.
No.
I didn't hear it that way.
No, we'd have to roll the tapes later. I don't think that was what I said.
I didn't hear it that way.
Okay. And Meghan, so the point you made, because it was very family based, do you think a man would get that? Notice, guys, I'm really pushing this male thing because we need some,
I see, Ricky. I
some
see.
attention. Yes, I'm really going in on that. You think a man would give that same kind of response?
Mm, it depends. It depends.
Somebody said nope.
No.
Somebody saved you. Somebody said nope.
So,
There you go. All right.
Look here, Meghan is running for president at some point in time. At this
Okay.
point, you know, Greg Paradies better watch out, because Meghan, I am like loving this energy. You're not gonna get her caught up. So 20 years from now, somebody come find this recording and say she said.
She did.
that's right, Lauryn. That's right.
Both did very well. Both did very well.
Okay, Ricky, are you done? And I go.
I think so. Yes.
All right. So speaking of Velvet Hammer, see, Miss Myrna, this is why I love you, because you say Velvet Hammer, I call it corporate gangster. But in both of your careers, right? You know, we don't talk about this enough. We kind of talk about it passively and all that jazz, and I want to get a little light here, but funny. You know, things could have been in an email or per my previous email or something along those lines, right? Things that you're like, I really want to check this person, but I also have to be professional. I have to be, you know, conscientious of their feelings and how this is going to come across, regardless of how they are, quote unquote, coming for me. But do you have an example in your careers of when you had to kind of flex your corporate gangster?
Or your velvet hammer.
Or your velvet hammer.
So I have a good example of a young woman. Well, she wasn't coming for me, so we can think, and Megan might have that example. We can think of that later. But sometimes people have especially I've seen men have a hard time course correcting folks that are reporting to them. I don't know why. I've seen that time and time again. But I believe that as long as you say, if you are giving advice and you are doing it in a constructive manner or gentle manner, whatever term you want to use, you have to do it. Otherwise, it's poor leadership if you allow bad behavior to continue. So I had a young woman who had a wonderful personality. Everyone loved her, but she couldn't make a deadline or wouldn't make a deadline to save her life. She wouldn't come to work on time. So punctuality was out of the window. And I had a conversation with her. I said, you do great work when you do it, but you have to learn that if you're not making your deadlines, you're affecting the entire team, and it's not a good look for us. So if you're not able to correct it, I'm going to have to let you go. And understand, I'm very fond of you. And I said to her, you must understand, I loved my ex-husband, but I divorced him. So
that's a velvet something. I'm not sure what it is.
Just in case she didn't get all the things that you were saying before.
exactly.
That one resonated.
And sure enough, she did not correct, and I had to terminate her. But I kid you not, years later, during my retirement and during all these accolades, she wrote in the comments, I will always respect you because even with the tough conversations, you do it with grace. And that was just affirmation that I did the right thing and in the right way. So
I'm just curious, in either one of those conversations, did you begin with, can we talk?
No. No, I said, I need to see you.
Oh, that's better. Okay.
Oh, the comments literally lit up. So, Ms. Myrna, I don't know what the logo is for your company, but whatever it is, I feel like you now need to change it to like a velvet purple hammer. Like that needs to be it, and we all understand it on a whole nother level. I'm just throwing out there. You can give me a 0.5%, you know, for throwing that out there for you. But
all the men are we're all clutching our purses now, right? You know, I love you, but I had to let him go.
All right, Meghan, velvet hammer, corporate gangster. Hit us with your best one.
Oh my goodness. I have experiences from both sides, from before I became a leader when I became a manager and now a leader, and then beforehand. So I'll start with the management and leadership side. I think emails are tone deaf a lot of times, to be honest with you, and you start going back and forth with someone, and I don't have time for the back and forth. And really, to Myrna's point, I'll be like, can we just have a meeting? Can we just talk? And a lot of times I've found that just by talking it out, the misconception is cleared within 5 minutes, whether we have a phone call or else we just sit face to face and have a discussion, or else if there is truly a disagreement that is happening, let's just talk it out. Because us going back and forth on email, it kind of reminds me of text messages, right? Like if I send you an emoji, you may receive it the same way I do, or you may not receive it the same way I do. And I look at it the same way with email. And sometimes it's just better to pick up the phone, have a conversation, or else just have a meeting and talk it out and move forward. Because all that happens is, especially I can remember in my previous life, when there's so many people CC'd on the email chain, and now you kind of have this situation going on where it's like, well, I'm on team Meghan and I'm on team so-and-so. We don't need that dynamic in the workplace. We don't need that going on. We need to nip it in the bud so we can continue to move forward. Now, on the other side, when I was the person who was on the receiving end of getting just kind of brunt and rude emails, I didn't challenge the person. Being someone who wasn't a leader or a manager, I didn't challenge them. I went to my supervisor and I told him, who happened at the time to be the executive director, I'm not sure you're aware of this, but this is how one of your directors is communicating with me. And I let him handle it, because at that point, it's his role and his responsibility to handle it. But you have to create a workplace where your employees feel that they can have an open door policy and talk to you about situations that are bothering you, and not feel like, okay, I can't discuss this because it could be borderline harassment.
Meghan was for president. I would be like, you can meet me outside. Snitches get stitches. Sorry. Anyway, I had a moment. No, but I think that both of you guys, I didn't expect anything less in your responses, right? Because both of you are first off, you're very calculated. And I appreciate that, because you're not necessarily moving like a man, but more so just in your authentic selves. But you can be very forward, or you can just kind of let me sit back, let me really think about and play out the 360 view of this and move accordingly. And both of you are just so poised and so amazing. And I appreciate it. And I know everyone that is tuning in is getting something from this, because they are going ham in the chat and I'm here for it. So,
well,
sorry, Ricky.
I'm getting something from it. I mean, notice I haven't spoken since Myrna's comment. I mean, because I'm feeling vulnerable right now. And maybe I do need a couch. Maybe I do need counseling. But I mean, gosh, Myrna, I love you to death. And I know the velvet part of you. I never thought that other part of you would come out. That's going to go down as one of the lines in history for Legends and Leapers.
Oh, it's also the Myrna mic drop. As I think it was Robin in the chat it's been coined the Myrna mic drop. So
Myrna mic drop. Okay.
There's that.
Ricky, let me just say, if you ever decide once you leave aviation to become a stand-up comedian, I will be your agent. I volunteer for that. Okay.
Okay. Well, you're going to have to. I'm glad to hear somebody else is willing to do it, because Ebony has claimed that. But now that I know I can negotiate, I'm in a good place. I just want to stay away from Lauryn. So
just let me know when your tour dates come out so I can book the exact same ones, and then people got to choose.
I was going to say, I thought you were going to say make sure so you could be in another town. So here's my last question, and it's for you. I think this may be the first time we've done this. So Meghan, what question would you like to see Myrna respond to? And the same for you, Myrna. What question would you like to see Meghan respond to?
And the question from the chat, or just us coming up with a question?
You come up with a question. It's your question.
Okay. Give me a second.
She looked up. She peeped up. Gosh, you guys are.
We did
Myrna,
good, Ricky. We did good.
Are you like Googling questions or something?
no, I'm not.
Chat GPT.
That's I'm just I'm trying to think of something. I mean, you have a legend, you got a legend, Myrna, on the call. So I'm trying to think, what is, this is probably a really soft question, but what is the best advice that you would give yourself if you were in my position right now as a leaper? What is the best advice that you would give?
That's better than any question Lauryn has asked. I mean, that is good.
So where you are now, you are doing such a great job already, Meghan. All of your responses, the way you handle the bully on the email, these are things that I learned later. You were already on it. So I would say you look at what position you would see yourself in 10 years from now and go to the person who is in that position and ask them, what are the major strengths that you see are necessary to fulfill that role, and what they see in you that would need to either be enhanced or added, or whatever adjustments they would see you would need to make in order to make it to that role.
Is it that easy to get to the vice president?
Oh, you mean VP of the United States?
Yes.
Where you're seeing her?
Don't do my girl Meghan like that. Don't put vice in front of it. Just straight president.
There you go. Is it that easy?
Ruler of the free world. Thank you.
Well, I could see she could find a way, or she knows someone in her network could get her there. Absolutely.
Thank you. That was very thoughtful. Thank you so much.
And for me, let's see, because what is it that you would, because you made a transfer from airports to the corporate side, what would you tell yourself? Let's say I know this is an old one, but I love it. Your 15-year-old self, in order to prepare for where you are now, what would you tell the 15-year-old Meghan?
That is actually a great question. And I think about this often because my 15-year-old self, I was actually living in Arizona at the time. And then my junior year, going into my senior year, we moved to Georgia. So this is actually a great question. I would tell my 15-year-old self to really, really be a little bit more outgoing. I was very introverted, even though I moved around so much as a military child. I became introverted, very quiet. Just be more outgoing, because I truly think that I'm very fortunate and blessed to be where I am today. But I think that I could have gotten there a lot sooner, and a lot more opportunities and doors could have been presented to me had I been a little bit more outgoing when I was 15 or 16. I think I really could have just transformed my life. But, God is intentional in his plan, and I'm here. I'm continuing to move forward. And that's what it is, because I may have not been 15 when I realized it. I may have been 19. And then everything started to move forward.
Wow. Lauryn, I don't think Madam President described any of our questions as great questions. She told Myrna her question was great twice.
You had great questions.
I'm still voting for her, but I feel the same way, Ricky. I feel the same way. I'm not going to hold it against her, but I feel the same way.
I'll go to Chicago and vote twice. I'll do that.
Then there's that. Now you just told everybody. Okay. Anyway, so I'm beaming with joy because you all just came with it today. I mean, you guys were ready. You hit Ricky with your best shots, and I love that for us. And I think everyone that attended today just got something from this. And Meghan, if they if they didn't know who you were before, baby, they know who you are now. And I'm just excited to watch your journey as an emerging leader, as a leaper through this industry. And, you know, in a couple years from now, you know, Myrna's really only 45. So in a couple years from now, you being the legend that she is. And this is, someone just said, this was the legends and leapers I never knew I needed.
And that was a guy.
It was. And that sounded like they had some emotion with it. So I love that for them. But just thank you all so much for bringing your genuine, authentic selves, not just to today, but to every day, to the industry, and just being the individuals that you are. And I feel like we are going to see so much more of both of you. Myrna, retired with your new, bringing your expertise to Everest Global Engagement, and Meghan, wherever you are and whoever you are working with in 10 years, 20 years, I'm just excited to be along for the ride. So thank you all so much. And then Ricky, I appreciate you showing up. So there's 4 squares, so that the screen was balanced out. Ramon had to jump off. So I want to make sure that everyone is registered for the conference. And even there, I believe there's some sponsorship opportunities still available. We will have Legends and Leapers in person. So I'm always excited for that. And we just thank you all so much for joining us on this June, and we'll see you all in July.
Outstanding.
Ricky,
Thank you,
anything
guys.
else?
Thank you.
Thank you all so much.
Ditto to everything you said, Lauryn. Amazing panelists. This is one of my favorites. Next time, perhaps I'll have my red lipstick on. But we'll see.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you all.
Thank you, guys. See you all in Nashville.
All right, and we're still friends, Ricky and Lauryn.
Yes, we are.
Myrna,
I don't know about the Lauryn
you
part.
know you're
but,
stuck with me. I don't know about Ricky. You can be his agent, though. I'll be a little disappointed because I would rather you on my team, but we'll discuss it. I'll make you more money, so you kind of got to decide where your loyalties lie.
All right, Soror. All right. Take care.
All right,
Bye-bye.
take care.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
See you all in
Coleman
Nashville.
love.
Thank you
Coleman
so
love.
much.
Coleman love. There you go.